Joe, we know a lot of customers that use the real-world Certifier bought it for its network testing capability. That's all they use it for. And why don't we take the user through some typical network testing?
Okay, here's a typical situation where we have a laptop computer. It has an interface of some unknown capabilities. We don't know if it's 100 meg or a gigabit, half, or full duplex. So first thing we want to do is find out what we have.
Okay, yeah.
So we just plug in here, and we select down from cables to network ports. We want to scan one port. Alright, and the first thing it tells us is that this interface card is capable of 100 meg full duplex and 10 meg full duplex.
And that it's transmitting on pins 1, 2.
That's correct. Now if we want to get more information, press the down key. Alright, and now it's measuring the signal level coming out of the interface. And you can see here is the minimum level, and you can see the signal levels coming out of this laptop computer are far above the minimum level.
Now, some people call this our attenuated test. And you can see with such a short cable, that signal is certainly not getting attenuated at all, is it?
That's right. Now, if we were on the end of a 300-foot cable, you would see that this signal level would be much closer to the minimum line.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what we know is with a good, strong signal level, this interface has a very good chance of working successfully in a network environment.
Okay.
We press again. And now we're going back to the original. Oh, excuse me, we have one more test. I forgot about this. We're also testing if there's any split pairs in the cable. This is a unique feature that we have, and we can actually test for split pairs on an active cable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the other testers, you would have to unplug the cable first and then test.
Sure.
And most people would rather not unplug a network to start doing their testing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says that there were no near-end split pairs found. Now we go back and we can see the original screen where it says 100 full duplex and 10 full duplex.
So it's just cycling back through the test again.
That's correct.
Now we have another drop here. I see we have a network drop on the floor by you. Let's do a single port test on that.
Yes, now this is the cable that this notebook uses to connect to the network. So again, we go to the beginning and we say network ports, and we're going to test one port. So there's no links on 1, 2, and this time the data is on 3, 6.
Uh-huh.
So this talks on 1, 2, and the network talks on 3, 6, pairs 3, 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we can see that this hub is 100 meg half duplex and 10 meg half duplex. Now remember, the notebook was full duplex.
You know, one of the great things about Ethernet LANs is how they negotiate. So I can have an older notebook computer, not the case here, but I could have an older notebook computer that, heck, had a 10 megabit half duplex card in it, and it can still communicate with a new gigabit switch because they would negotiate to some common speed. Now in this situation here we have a notebook that's capable of 100 full duplex, and it appears to be tying into a link that is 100 half duplex. Isn't the user giving up a lot of capability there?
Well, he certainly might. So let's go back to our screen, original screen, and we're going to now do an inline test to see what the combined capability of this network with this computer. So we go back to network ports, and this time we're going to monitor inline. So it tells us unplug all the ports. Notice how it just steps us through, and then plug in port 1. So we'll plug in port 1, and it immediately starts testing port 1 to see what its capabilities are. And of course it finds that it's 100 half duplex and 10 half duplex. Then, after it tests it 3 times that it's absolutely sure that it knows what it is, it tells us to unplug that port. Now we'll use the right connector to plug in the other port.
And for all of those people wondering what the purpose of the multiple connectors are at the head of the real-world certifier, you're seeing it now. It's for inline testing.
That's correct, Darrell. And so it goes through and it tests it 3 times. Alright, and now it tells us to plug in port number 1 into the left side, and now press down arrow. And now it monitors the negotiation. And it's negotiated a speed, in other words, the common best speed that these 2 devices can use is 100 meg half duplex.
So it did have to negotiate down.
Right, so that this customer may be disappointed in the LAN performance.
Sure.
And of course, this is a situation where if this was a newly installed cable, the customer might think that there was something wrong with the cable.
Right, but it happens to be, well, I don't want to say an outdated switch, but certainly most switches now are capable of full duplex operation, aren't they?
Yes, and then a lot of switches are also programmable. So this switch may have originally been programmed for a different computer. And now this new and better computer has been plugged in, and the performance is disappointing because the parameters have been programmed for the old computer.
I think it's a good time to throw in a couple of notes. One, now that the negotiation is complete, I could actually communicate through this link, couldn't I, while connected?
That's correct.
And the other interesting point is the center connector. We've used the left connector and the right connector for the inline test. What's the purpose of the center connector?
Well, if a crossover cable was required for this application, then the screen would have instructed us to use the center connector so that we would get a crossover connection.
So it simulates a crossover cable.
That's right, and that is a very common problem where a customer tries to plug in with his computer, tries to get on the network, can't get connected, but he doesn't realize he needs a crossover connection.
And this can tell whether that's the case or not.
Yes, and it would clearly describe what the situation is, so the customer would then know he needs a crossover connection.
Now, do you think most customers use this to scan individual ports or to run inline testing, or both? What have you found?
Well, I think that they're both used a lot. You know, the first thing is when a customer wants to use a computer on a gigabit. You know, if he's upgrading, the first thing he wants to know is, can his computer run on the gigabit?
Sure.
Internet. So he'll just plug it in right away.
Right.
And then, of course, his next question is, you know, will the link to his office run at 100 meg
right.
or gigabit?
And then he can put this in between and see what the 2 devices actually negotiated.
That's right.
Because when you scan an individual port, it might tell you what the capability is. But this would go inline to see the negotiated.